What's up, everybody? It is Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper and Kyle Castles. We had Matt Kirk at one point in time, and Matt just left us. Kyle, I guess Matt decided he didn't want to be a part of the show tonight.
I was expecting to see him pop up here and say hello. And
we were looking for Matt's pretty face, and it has disappeared from us. So we'll try to get We'll try to get Matt on here in just a second, but welcome everybody to Dad's Watching Sports. It is Sunday, September 20th. We're so glad for you to be listening or checking out the show wherever you're doing that, whether that's through our Facebook or through our stream. And there's Matt. Matt, welcome back. We appreciate you joining us.
Howdy.
How are you? Well, guys, we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on in the world of sports. There's a lot going on in our lives as dads. And we've got a really awesome interview at the end of the show. So Kevin Dyson, former Tennessee Titan, as well as a couple other teams in the NFL, probably most notable for Music City Miracle and being 1 yard short in the Super Bowl. Kevin is we had a chance to sit down with him last week, actually, but we're gonna play that interview this week. So Kyle, thank you for setting that up. But really cool interview with Dyson. I'm looking forward to the listeners and being able to see that and listen to it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I've known Dice for 10 years, 9 years now. Great guy. It was fun just to catch up with him.
Now, the question is, would he say the same thing about you, Kyle?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm a jerk.
At least Kyle knows himself well. Guys, we got a lot to get into, and like I said, we're looking forward to playing that interview here in just a bit. But a couple big things I want to get into. First off, if you follow us on Facebook or on any social media platform, you saw this past week, we are taking part in a fundraiser, and we want to highlight that for everyone out there, because we'd love for you to participate in it. It's for a good cause. After all, guys, we are raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. If you don't know, the month of September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Luckily, and Lord willing, we never have to deal with this, and none of us have had to deal with it so far. But that's definitely something that I can't even imagine as a parent having to go through. And so, if you are a fan of this show, we want to challenge you right now to go to our Facebook page. If you go to just facebook.com, I think it's /Dads Watching Sports. Go to our Facebook page. You scroll down a few posts, or actually might be tagged there at the top, and you'll see our fundraiser for St. Jude. We're trying to raise $500 by the end of the month. So if you were listening, and I know there's a couple people watching right now on the live stream, and if you're listening to the show right now, I want you to hit pause, or I want you to pull up another browser, go to our Facebook page and make a donation, because childhood cancer is one of the worst things that a parent could ever have to go through, and a child could ever have to go through. And we just want to play a very small role in doing anything that we can to make the lives better of those families that are going through that. So yeah, I'll get off our soapbox about that right now, but go check it out. Dad's Watching Sports on Facebook. Check out the fundraiser. Matt, well, before we get into our first topic, I know it was a pretty monumentous couple of days here in the Kirk household. Tell us about some of the stuff that's been going on.
Yes. So my daughter's been kind of teetering back and forth on taking steps, standing up, doing all that. And on Saturday, she took 5 steps, which was really cool. And she stood up on her own for about 10 seconds, trying to catch her balance. So that was really cool. And ever since then, this weekend, all she's been doing is trying to walk. So, and she's just almost there where she's just going to take off. So it was really cool to see.
Well, and then the fun starts, because then you got to chase her.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we'll let Kyle and I prepare you for. It's so funny when your child is in that stage. You're like, I just want you to walk. I just want you to walk. I just want you to walk. And then they start going, and then you're like, can I just sit you down and you be still for a second?
Exactly.
Like it changes so quickly. But that's really cool. I'm sure we will definitely hear from you on social media when the first official long form steps happen. But definitely a cool thing. It's a pretty noteworthy moment in any parent and child's life when that happens. But yes, as soon as it does, then the switch gets flipped, and you're like, oh no, now I have to keep up with this child.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing more exercising.
There we go. TJ Burns jumps on and says, congrats, Matt, on the Emma's first step. So definitely without that, thanks for the
TJ.
comment. TJ. All right, guys. So we're gonna start off things with a dad/parenting topic here. This has been one that has been, I wouldn't say up for debate, but it's definitely been a topic of conversation in the Draper household, and that is when your kids have a favorite parent. So it's funny. This, like I said, this has been a topic that's come up in our household, and I'm gonna out my wife a little bit here. So my wife was listening to another dad's podcast here recently. Yeah, I felt so betrayed when it happened, but I'll give her this. It's a Dave Barnes, and I can't remember who the other guy is. But they just talk kind of dad stuff. They don't incorporate any sports or anything like that. So it's at least not completely our show. I will say they started after us. So Dave, you can send your check in the mail to Dad's Watching Sports. Send us the check in the mail. But they were talking about the favorite parent, and it was two dads talking, and they were saying how the mom was the favorite parent. And so Suzanne sent me this clip, and the reason she sent it to me is because, guys, I wouldn't say I'm the favorite parent in our household. But more often than not, the kids kind of gravitate towards dear old dad.
I mean, hang on. I have been in your house.
Yeah.
You are the favorite parent.
Kyle, you're not doing me any favors here, man.
Matter of fact, I think my kids like you more than me.
Well, they very well might. I mean, I'm a pretty good Uncle Mike, but but no, man. I mean, it's cool, and trust me. I mean, I love the attention, and I love the fact that my kids love me and want to be around. But it's also a little awkward. Like if we're laying on the couches and I'm laying down and my wife's on the other couch, and both kids come to me, and I'm like, well, why doesn't someone go lay with mom? And they're like, no, we want to lay with daddy, and it makes me feel uncomfortable, and I can imagine it makes her feel not so happy as well. So. Castles and Kirk household. Kyle, who the kids gravitating in your area?
Oh, it is definitely mama. I'm just hoping that as the boys get older, they start hanging out with me a little bit, and because I'll be doing the manly stuff. We were camping, we'll go hunting, we'll watch the sports, we'll play the sports, all that. But yeah, right now it's mama, and definitely for the baby girl. I'm hoping she grows up and she becomes a daddy's girl. Yeah. She's definitely she loves me more than the boys did at this age. But yeah, mama's still the favorite. Yeah.
Well, it makes it tough too. Because I mean, as I gotta fight for the quote unquote favorite parents here. I mean, it's not like you do anything special, you're just kind of hanging out and the kids just kind of want to come sit with you. And it makes it a little tough. Matt, what about in the Kirk household? Does Emma gravitate more towards mom or dad?
And I've got to have a snack for my kid to come to me, so I'll be honest.
If it makes you feel better, my kids could be starving dogs, and I have a pork chop tied around my neck, and they still wouldn't play with me.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Campbell loves her mama, but there are times, where we have our special time. Like I put Campbell to bed every night, and I know she loves that, so that's good. But other than that, yeah, she pretty much just stays with her mama.
All right, so if there's a good cop, bad cop in these houses, I'll be honest, I'm usually lean a little bit more towards the good cop. Kyle, what about yourself? Because I feel like maybe that's what I do is I'm the good cop, and they're like, hey, this is the guy that kind of butters my bread.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like I tend to be more of the disciplinarian, so I guess I'm the bad cop. But somebody's got to do it.
I'm surprised considering your wife is a lawyer and all.
Oh, no. When it comes to her kids, she enjoys kind of being there and softening the blow while daddy comes down hard.
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, I can definitely get pretty stern as well. I mean, I'm definitely not afraid to raise my voice. I'm definitely not afraid to, say, hey, go to timeout right now, and then come in there and kind of lay the law down. And I think my kids know when I mean business. But at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, let's all just have fun and let's have a good time. And I guess I reap the rewards of that. What I guess is happening there, guys. So TJ says I'm the bad cop in our house. 4 kids, 2 of them stepkids. Yeah, it seems like the dads more often than not are the bad cops. Maybe I'm just I don't know. Maybe I just got it wrong here, guys.
It's really interesting though, because growing up in my house, my parents pretty much had this fortified front. Except when I got older, I realized that my mom was like the perfect kid growing up, and my dad was less than perfect. And so whenever I did get in trouble, I always would go to Pop because at least I know he would kind of understand when I screwed up.
Like, hey, son, don't worry about it. We've all been there. We've all done that and done something worse than that. Yeah.
Which I'm sure Suzanne was probably the good kid out of you two because I know how you grew up.
Easy. We won't go into any of those stories.
You know what? We
worst.
should definitely go into some of those stories, right, Matt? We should just tell some Mike stories one night.
Yeah, preacher kids are the worst.
Well, I don't disagree with you there. The preacher kid maybe was the one kind of starting all the stuff. There's no doubt about that. Let's see. I put up the wrong comment. Strikeout Beer says, "Hey guys, hey Strikeout. We appreciate you guys checking us out. They've got a great show. It's on the RTF Sports Network, so check out Strikeout Beer as well." All right, guys, we'll discontinue the talk of the favorite parent and move into some actual sports. I appreciate y'all talking about that with me because it makes me feel a little bit better. Maybe I'm not all alone in the world here.
No, you're just like the other women.
Hey, come on now, easy there, buddy. Don't maybe break out the mute button here.
Except his hair isn't quite as long.
Just the hair on his back.
I was going to say, just the one on my back. That's right. So, guys, let's get to wrong one. Let's get to some football. The Big Ten is back in after much deliberation. Looks like the Pac-12 may be joining them as well. They were back and forth, and they finally looked like they settled on a date in October. This is going to kind of throw things all sorts of a mess. It looks like the AP, the coaches and AP polls have already indicated that. They've got the Big Ten teams back in and kind of where they were a couple of weeks ago. Matt, some initial thoughts on the Big Ten getting back in and what kind of implications this is going to have for the rest of the season?
Well, it sure kind of seems like that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 was in that room in that conference call, and they just grossly misjudged, what was going to happen with the Big 12 and the SEC and the ACC. They kind of look like they weren't. It looked like they were trying to be trendsetters, and they didn't quite set any trends. Instead, they had a small uproar in their communities with their schools, and man, I think they're stupid. I don't understand why they didn't just try to, at least just wait it out. They pulled the plug on that way too early.
Well, and I think that they get everything they deserve because it's the way it all kind of played out. It sounds like the Big Ten said, "Hey, we're all going to make this decision together," and then just kind of pull their own decision and then let the Pac-12 in on it at the last minute and said, "Hey, we're going to do this." So I think they get what they deserve. And as far as I'm concerned, Big Ten football is never really a part of it anyway. So I don't think it's going to have any implication on the college football playoff because they haven't won. They've won one national championship in the past 20
for the kids.
Well, yeah, of course you're happy for the kids, but in terms of the administration and that, I could care less about them and if they get it right. So, Kyle, let me ask you this because we got to go to a break here in just a few minutes. If you have an Ohio State team who plays 8 games, so they go 7-1, playing 8 games, we'll say they lose to like at Penn State, and then you've got a Georgia team who has 2 losses, but maybe they go on the road and win at Alabama and win an SEC championship. Who gets that 4th playoff spot? Is it a 7-1 Buckeyes or an 8-2 Bulldogs?
The SEC champion gets in.
Look, here's the deal. The SEC champ's going to be in. It doesn't matter if they have 1 loss, no losses, or 2 losses, they're in. The Big Ten champion is going to get in. The College Football Playoff Committee, they came out the first year and said conference titles matter. So they're definitely going to put Ohio State in if they win the Big Ten. Then it's going to come down, and Clemson's going to go in because they're not going to lose to any team in the ACC. So that leaves the Big 12 and the Pac-12 fighting for that last spot. When you pose this question, I thought you meant like an 8-2 Georgia that was the SEC's number 2, and I think the 7-1 Ohio State gets in over the SEC number 2. But yeah, if it's an 8-2 Georgia SEC champion, they're in.
All right. Well, guys, we'll come back from the break. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I want to get a few more talks in, but we got to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back on Dad's Watching Sports.
Hey, guys and gals, Matt Kirk here. You're a big fan of our show, so you know I was gifted the Coyotes as a part of our NHL team lottery draft on Dad's Watching Sports. The Coyotes mascot somehow changed to Wile E. Coyote. and just blew everything up for me. So here I am. I'm making a commercial, and I'm telling you how great the Tampa Bay Lightning and host Michael Draper are. What kind of a mascot is a coyote anyway? It's just the lame stepbrother of the fox. The only successful coyote in the history of the world is Kilmer's Coyotes and their 22 district championships. Anyway, congrats, Michael. And now we're back to Dad's Watching Sports.
And we're back here on Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, Matt Kirk. Thank you so much for joining us. Sunday, September 20th. Guys, we got game 2 of the Western Conference Finals going on right now. It's late in the fourth quarter with the Lakers up by 6. We'll talk a little NBA on next week, and maybe we'll get into a little bit of that here in just a few minutes as well. But definitely wanted to continue that talk. Matt, any other thoughts on the Big Ten, or just really kind of getting into back into the fold?
Man, they tried to come back and do the right thing. In my opinion, man, they really just screwed the pooch on this one. Just they're going to only get 8 games, so these players are going to get 8 games.
No.
See, this getting 10.
This is the thing. They're not screwing the pooch. They are still going to be a part of the college football playoff, and they're still going to make the money. That's the reason they jump back in. Let's just be absolutely real. It's always going to come down to money. They're talking about how, well, we didn't know we could have some rapid testing. No. Rapid testing's been done all summer. Don't tell me you didn't know that there was rapid testing options for you as the Big Ten athletic conference. Don't give me that bullcrap. It all came down to, oh, wait, we thought if we pulled out and the Pac-12 pulled out that the other conferences would too, and they wouldn't have a college football playoff and we would be out money. No, you were out some money, and now you came back trying to grab some more money. Don't lie, Big Ten. Tell the truth. It's all about money.
The whole thing's about it's all a business.
Amen, brother.
That's obvious. Duh, Kyle.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's always going to be about money. It's that's what makes the world go around. That's why we have any college ball this year, is because of money. That's why we have any of these sports coming back.
Have you ever seen Blue Chips?
Yes, I have.
It's all about that money. All about that money. I can't say the other word.
That was a great impression, Matt.
Yeah, it was.
All right, guys, let's move on. Week 2 in the NFL. Kyle, what are some of the things that kind of stood out to you so far through week 2? We've got obviously we finished up the game tonight and then got the Monday night game. But what have you seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the big story is Mitch Trubisky. I mean, he's put together 2 solid weeks of football. Not that we haven't seen him do this in the past in his career, but like maybe there is something, and he had enough downtime this offseason that he can get his mind right and get his mind wrapped around everything. And maybe we're seeing, finally Mitch Trubisky living up to, what was it, 2nd or 3rd pick in the draft that year?
Yeah. Well, you talk about quarterbacks. Let me pose this question to you guys. So we saw on Thursday night, we saw Joe Burrow versus Baker Mayfield with the Browns versus the Bengals. The Browns got the win in that game. But if you're looking at kind of long-term with those 2 quarterbacks who both played well, who you have, Matt, as kind of being the better pro out of those 2, Burrow or Baker?
I think it's going to end up being Joe Burrow long term. I don't, however, think he will stay in Cincinnati. I think he's going to go to another franchise when this deal's over. But I think he's going to thrive wherever he goes for sure. But I think he'll be the better pro. Baker's been this is his 3rd year, and he just can't seem to get things rolling for the Browns. So do you think that Burrow will have success with the Bengals, and then yes.
Okay.
And he's going to dip because they're not. It's just like what they've done with everyone else. They don't really want to pay anybody. So,
okay, well, that's fair.
I think he's going to go somewhere else. But yes, I think he's going to have the much better and much longer career than Baker. I think that Baker will be a flash in the pan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in terms of those 2 comparisons. I think Joe Burrow's got all the skill set. I think he's got all the arm strength. I think he's got the talent. I mean, that's been on display the first 2 weeks of the season. The guy can make the throws. He can make the reads. He's got the ability to maneuver around the pocket as well. So I agree. Kyle, let me ask you this. Another young guy that is hot on the list. You mentioned Trubisky, but definitely is Murray out there in Arizona. If you're throwing up Murray against those 2 guys, where do you feel like who you think is going to have the better career?
Now you threw Kyler Murray in. But I'm going to stick with my answer. I'm still going to say Baker Mayfield. Look, he's got weapons upon weapons upon weapons. He's got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the backfield, Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. out wide. He's got weapons. Here's the thing. He's just got to put it together. But Burrow's in Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, Matt said it, they do not put weapons around their people the way they should. I think Kyler Murray, I don't see Kingsbury lasting. So that's all going to change, and we'll see. So I think Baker of the three has a shot. If Burrow leaves, then leave Cincinnati maybe, but I think people in Ohio hate Joe Burrow more than LeBron James for leaving. Because all Joe Burrow said, in that Heisman Trophy and national championship season was how he was doing it for Southern Ohio, and here he is.
Here he is. That's right. Okay, so guys, we also had several injuries, pretty substantial injuries during week 2 with Saquon Barkley going down, Bosa going down for the 49ers, and then Drew Lock for the Denver Broncos. I haven't really seen any follow-up on what the long-term implications are for those injuries, but Matt, as you're looking across at least maybe those 3 and any others that you saw this week, who's the most impactful injury that you feel like is going to be impactful for their team?
Well, if I'm being selfish here, Michael, I've got to say it's Mr. Saquon Barkley. I've got him in both of my fantasy leagues, and me being a manager of a football team, that's definitely going to impact my team. But the Giants, they kind of, I know with what's his face at OC, Jason Garrett, or as we call him, Jay Jeezy. They're gonna, he likes to really run the ball. So I think that could probably end up being the biggest impact.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised you didn't say Locke, given the fact that you drafted the Broncos in our little draft lottery.
Well, I didn't draft him, Michael. I was gifted them.
No, man, you drafted them.
I was gifted.
It was the gift that keeps on giving. It was the gift that keeps on giving. Kyle, what about you? Most impactful injuries?
Well, I hate to step on one of our watchers here, but you can put up TJ Burns' comment.
Yeah.
The Niners just had a string of them, and so we'll see if the Niners can keep pace with the Seahawks with all these injuries out there in the West.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So do you guys attribute these injuries, the injury bug kind of jumping up really in the past couple of weeks due to not as much prep time with COVID and everything, Kyle?
Non-contact, and I know that Saquon Barkley's injury was it was in contact, but really an ACL. It rarely is it, unless it's something like the Willis McGahee injury that everybody remembers. Usually it's not necessarily due to contact. You watch it. It's not like his foot stuck or anything. And so, I think lack of preparation, definitely for soft tissue injuries is going to cause those injuries to be higher.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, guys, I'm going to shift some things around in our agenda just to make sure we get this in. We're going to go ahead and skip to the Elite 8 of the cereal bracket just to make sure we get that in, since we've got Dyson coming up after the break. And then if we can get it in, I definitely want to touch on our top 5 Chris Boomer Berman nicknames for athletes, because I think that'll be a fun topic. So if we're looking at the cereal bracket, we are down to the Elite 8, gentlemen, and I've got them up on the screen. We've got in the kind of in the top left, we've got Cinnamon Toast Crunch, the 1. We're all chalk here, guys. The 1 against Cheerios, the 2. Frosted Flakes, the 1 versus Captain Crunch, the 2. Lucky Charms, the 1 versus Fruity Pebbles, the 2. And Honey Nut Cheerios, the 1 versus Golden Grams, the 2. So, Kyle, I'm going to give you the first vote, and I'm going to let you decide where we're starting. Which matchup would you like to start with?
Let's go with the one that I think is going to be the most contested. Let's go Frosted Flakes and Captain Crunch.
Wait, are they Corn Flakes with sugar or Frosted Flakes?
Okay, first off, Matt, shut your mouth. Nobody likes you. And secondly, my vote is for Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch. Okay, Matt, I'll give you the second vote. Frosted Flakes or Captain Crunch?
Well, Michael, I hate to break it to you, man, but we're not going to hear from you on this one. Me and the captain are going to make it happen.
Man, you guys that's a disgrace. You can't even eat that cereal without the roof of your mouth being destroyed.
And it's worth it every time.
No,
it is absolutely worth it.
Not worth it at all. Okay, so Captain Crunch, our first team or cereal that advances to the Final Four. Kyle, they will face the winner of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Cheerios. I'm going to make my first vote. And just to spite you two, I'm voting Cheerios for the upset. Matt, join me in my vote for Cheerios and give me an upset here. We need an upset. This bracket hasn't had an upset the entire time. Come on, man. Pull through for Cheerios.
CTC.
Okay.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
After all that I just went through, and all that I said, all you got. All right, Kyle. Do I even need to ask you where you're going here?
You know what, Mike? I love me some Cheerios. They are some good stuff.
Yeah.
Go
ahead and do it, man. Let's just go. All right, Cinnamon Toast Crunch going on in as the 1 seed. So they're going to face Captain Crunch in the Battle of Crunch in the Final Four matchup. Honey Nut Cheerios, we'll start there versus Golden Grams. Matt, you go first. We got the 1 versus the 2 again. You going Golden or are you going Honey Nut?
I love me some Golden Grams. So that's my vote.
Okay. Well, I didn't know but you really loved Honey Nut Cheerios.
No.
Okay, so Golden Grams, Kyle. I'll give you the second vote.
Well, look, Jack, my 3-year-old, is severely allergic to tree nuts. He has anaphylactic shock. Therefore, we don't do Honey Nut Cheerios in this house anymore. So, give me the Golden Grams.
Golden Grams. Okay.
Dang, I would have Michael, that's twice you haven't voted.
Well, I was going to vote for Golden Grams. That's why I figured that was the way it was going to go. So I tried to spread the wealth here on the show. Let you.
But
guys
that's a 2-over-1, right?
Yeah.
See, there's your upsets. Shut up. Quit whining.
Well, yeah. All right, and so for our last matchup in the Final Four, Lucky Charms versus Fruity Pebbles. Kyle, who you got?
They're magically delicious. Give me the Lucky Charms.
And they're magically about to get bounced out of this thing. Give me Fruity Pebbles. Matt, you get the deciding vote here. Fruity Pebbles, Lucky Charms for the 4th and final spot in our bracket.
Hey, Kyle, do you remember that comment you told me that you said that there was no one that liked me?
And I stand by it.
Now, all of the listeners are about to like me because I'm putting you out, son. Give me the Fruity Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles. Moving on. So we got 3 2 seeds moving on to face the 1 seed Cinnamon Toast Crunch in the Final Four. So we got Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Captain Crunch, Fruity Pebbles, and Golden Grams in our Final Four bracket. And, guys, we will finish that up next week. Early favorites on coming away with the championship, Matt.
Fruity Pebbles.
Ooh, okay, Kyle.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Well, I'll tell you who's not going to win. That's Captain Crunch. I'm going to say Lucky Charms. Lucky Charms got bounced. I'm going to go Golden. Yeah. I'm going Golden Grams as the winner of our bracket. But we'll see. We're going to have a guest or two on next week to help us decide that out here. So, guys, we've only got a few minutes left here, but I want to try to get these in really quickly. So we don't really have time for a long explanation. But I need your top 5 Chris Berman nicknames. I'm going to go first so I can give you guys an example of how quick we need to go here. I've got number 5, Gary Sheffield of Dreams. Number 4, Amani, It's Not a Tumor. Number 3, Mike, You're in Good Hands with Allstott. Number 2, Moises, Skip to My Lou. And then number 1, Andre, Bad Moon Rising. Kyle.
Yeah, so you got a few of mine. I got Joseph, Live and Let a Die.
Nice.
Moises, Skip to My Lou. Mike, Lego My Gallego.
Nice.
Andre, Bad Moon Rising, and Chuck, New Kids on the Knob Block.
Nice.
And I've got 5 that y'all didn't put. I got Mike, After Dinner Mentor. Albert, Winnie the Pujols. Ahmad, A Christmas Carol. He's a former Razorback, by the way. Todd, Highway to Helton. And Daryl, Strawberry Shortcake.
Nice.
I love Strawberry Shortcake too.
Absolutely. Those were good. And that was all prompted by the Gardner Minshew. If you guys didn't catch that last week by Berman, that was pretty awesome. So, guys, we got to go to a quick break. When we come back, we are going to play our interview with Kevin Dyson from the Tennessee Titans, but we'll be right back after the break here on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all stay tuned. Coming up next week on Dad's Watching Sports, we've got a jam-packed show for you. We're, of course, talking the first week of SEC football and what it means going forward for the playoff. Also, we're going to talk Eastern and Western Conference Finals in the NBA and who our picks are for the NBA Finals. And we finish the cereal bracket. That'll be next week on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all check us out anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're back here on Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, Matt Kirk. We've got a great show for you next week with all those things. Plus, we're going to be joined by at least one person, if not two. We all had a mutual friend, Ashton Thomas, who it'll be 6 years this next Sunday on the 27th, who we lost him due to an automobile accident. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time on the show next week. It's kind of in his honor. He was a big sports fan, a big friend of ours, and we're going to have his dad and a few others hopefully on to share some stuff. So we'll get into that again next week on the show as well. But, guys, we are going to go to our interview with Kevin Dyson here in just a second. I was trying to get it all to work, but it looks like I'm just going to have to share my screen and play it here on my computer. So if you guys will bear with me as I am just kind of talking through this. And actually, let me go back through here because I've got to click to share the audio. Yes, indeed. And I believe if you guys can see that, here we go. And here we go. Here's our interview with Kevin Dyson.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, folks.
All right, welcome back to Dad's Watching Sports. We are joined by former NFL player, the lead man in probably the two biggest plays in Tennessee Titans football history, Mr. Kevin Dyson. Dice, how's it going, bud?
It's going well, man. Just like everybody else trying to navigate this pandemic, trying to figure out the new normal.
Yeah. And
it's interesting because you see people, and we're here talking about dads and sports and things of that nature, man. Coaching my son and watching him play, just the kids need that. I think you had that fear, but kids need to play. And it's been good to watch kids out there competing and playing. They actually need it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's one thing I'm excited to get my boys into is getting them to the age where they can get out and compete and play and watching them grow up on the field. So you're talking about getting ready or getting used to the new normal, finding the new normal. I know what you do for a day job, but some of these others and our listeners probably don't. So why don't you tell them kind of what you do for your day job and how that new normal is being found in that area?
Well, I'm a principal of a middle school out here in southern middle Tennessee, I guess it is, Williamson County Schools, and it's interesting to say the least. You know, I think for the most part, the kids have been resilient. They've followed the procedure, but you know, you got a few. They're gonna test their boundaries. They're gonna try to move from their assigned seats. They're gonna take their mask off. We had a kid take his mask off and cough in the girl's face, pretending he had COVID. You're gonna get these sorts of things, and we kind of anticipated them. But what I didn't anticipate was the being in the middle of a political stance, one way or the other, where you right or left wing. Just having a meeting recently with a family that wants to exercise their constitutional right not to wear a mask, and then shortly thereafter, I received an email thanking me for making kids wear their masks and how important it is. And so it's just to be an educator and being caught in the middle of the politicalness that's around COVID. It's been, it's been stressful, but it's been interesting. Whatever I believe in doesn't really matter. And as I shared with the family that exercising their constitutional right, and you're right, you have your right to not wear a mask. But however, if I'm exercising my right and I go into a grocery store and they tell me you have to wear shoes and a shirt to come into the grocery store, what do? I put on my shoes and my shirt because I need to go to the store, even though it is a public place. And that's kind of what I shared with that family. And they didn't really have much to say after that, but I hope they come to understanding that it's not Kevin Dyson's rule. It's not the Grassland Middle School rule. It's the rule of the circumstance of the corporation I work for, which is Williamson County Schools. And they say you have to wear a mask unless you have a medical condition. So all that to say, adjusting to those sorts of things as we're going to have normal, quote unquote, normal school, that's been an adjustment. And I know you, Kyle, for instance, y'all are going through it right now, something similar, well, worse, as you guys are shut down for a little while. So it's just a different day and age for us all. And, you look for certain countries have been through this for years. It's their normal now. You just see it, pictures of them just wearing masks in schools and buildings, and that's just what they do. And I think that is what we all don't want to happen and want to avoid.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, for full disclosure, me and Dr. Dyson here, we work for the same school district, and so we're fighting the same battles at all the schools. It sounds like it's a crazy time to be an educator for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you're up to now. But let's go to your past. I know that you were a part of 2 Super Bowls. Obviously, played a huge part in the first one. But I've actually never asked you this question as long as I've known you. What is your best moment from your career?
Oh, shoot, man. Aside from the obvious, the Music City Miracle, I will say, getting drafted and having your name called is pretty huge. But the thing that people probably would never even think that would be a huge moment for me was the day I got to put in a uniform and walk out in the field and just be on the team. I mean, you could say first round draft pick, the whole time. I was drafted in the first round, but I still always had this humbleness about me. Like I was just appreciative of it. I was like, man, I'm here. And so there was a game in particular where I was like, I made it. And to this day, I remember the date, December 20th, 1998. I went to Lambeau Field, snowing. It was Reggie White's last home game. Brett Favre was on the other side of the field. They had just went to Super Bowl a couple years before. Like, I was there, Lambeau Field. It was a frozen tundra. It was snowing. And I was like, man, I made it. I'm in the league. And that's in December. I had already played 14, 15 games at that point. And I was just like, man, this is it. And that was, to me, was that moment for me. Super Bowl and Music Miracle side, even being drafted, but December 20th, 1998, that was it.
Man, you just tell that story and I'm getting goosebumps. I couldn't imagine. And you say you're humble, but I mean, let's be honest. There's one thing you're not humble about, because I've heard you say it a lot. Who was drafted first, Kevin Dyson or Randy Moss?
I was first receiver taken. But I say this. I would say this.
Nice.
Randy Moss cost me money. So I'd say that because I was supposed to go in the top 10. He was supposed to go top 5, top 10, and he kept dropping. So I kept dropping because you know how it is, man. Once you pick one receiver, you guys take him for you. There's none left. And he dropped. And I knew I wasn't going past 16. I knew the Oilers wanted me. Oilers and the Giants tried to trade to get me. Giants tried real hard to get me at 8. But Baltimore Ravens wanted too much for what I understand. And so here it was. I fell to 16 and Moss fell to 21. But that's something I could take when I'm 40-something years old, man. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, obviously, and he had a great career. And he can't take that away from me, though.
But apparently he can take you money. So, Randy, I know you're listening. If you'll just write a quick check to KD, I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
I sure enough would, because I'm thinking there's a lot. There's
Randy.
A big money difference. I need to go see what Dwayne Starks went number 8. I'll go see what his contract was, because I went 8 spots after him, and I was, that was the spot that was kind of earmarked for me at that time. Was 8 and 12, and I want to see how much more money that would have been. You know what? I need to talk to Randy Moss about that. There's some interest on that too. That's 20 years ago, 20-something.
I know, right? So make sure you get on that interest too.
Yeah, I got to get my interest money back.
He's got it. I think he signed all the big contracts. He's got the money.
Yeah, he signed like 3 of them.
Exactly.
Got hurt.
And he owns a team in NASCAR too.
Oh, that's right.
He's got it coming from all
You know what?
areas.
I'll just take 10% stake in that.
There we go.
That's easy enough.
There we go.
Well, man, I know that you do the pregame and postgame for the Titans.
Yeah.
So
Starting tomorrow.
Yeah. So what are we thinking for the Titans this year? I mean, they were AFC Championship game last year. Can they repeat? Can they move forward?
I think the biggest thing is they got somebody on the defensive side, 2 potential. I heard Big Beasley's out tomorrow, but they got 2 guys that you have to account for getting after the quarterback. Even if they didn't get double digits, they're going to command attention, especially early on, unless they don't show up like they have in the past. But if you have to account for 2 guys, and that's not even counting Landry and some of these other guys that have shown the ability to get after the quarterback, but them 2 in particular, you can do so many things. You saw what Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt and Merciless did down in Houston when you had to count for 3 guys that can get up the quarterback, and they can move guys inside, outside, wide nines. They can move them in A and B gaps. When you have that ability to move 3 or 4 guys around and attack an offensive line, Kyle, you played O-line, so I'm not saying that you don't know. It makes it hell for an offensive coordinator. It makes it hell for a quarterback. And I think if they get that going, I'm not even talking about Tannehill just yet, but if they get that going, they're going to be in a lot of football games. Then it becomes about what is Tannehill playing like. I think his potential is still there. I think he's comfortable. And again, I didn't know him in Miami. From what I've seen, he's playing with house money. He's just relaxed and said, I got nothing to lose. He got the contract. He's just playing house money. I felt like there was, and again, this is just me. I don't know what it's like for him in Miami. I felt like he had that relief. The shoulders came down. Like too much pressure was on him in Miami to first round pick, to perform, the savior of the franchise. He didn't have that same pressure here. He just came here and played, and that's what it looked like. What I want to see is from his perspective and from the fans' perspective is when he has a bad moment or 2 or game or 2, how does he respond and how do the fans respond? Do the fans, because they're fickle, they start booing him? Do they start chanting for the guy behind him? And how does he respond to that? Is he just pick his boots back up and get back in there and make plays like he did last year? But I think the offense, we all seen it. I mean, A.J. Brown could even come close to what he did last year, and Jonnu Smith keeps getting better. This offense, sky's the limit. They got one of the best running backs in the game right now. They got one of the better offensive lines in the game right now. So, again, Tannehill and, to me, the pass rush are 2 keys, and they're right there. They're right there in the mix in the AFC. I mean, everybody's chasing the Chiefs. Come on, let's be real. Right now, everybody's chasing Chiefs in the AFC. As long as they're in that mix, you got to put them kind of at the top. I'm not counting out New England. I mean, you'd be stupid to. Cam Newton is not a bum. He was an MVP in this league. I know he's not Tom Brady, but he is not a bum. I'm sorry, y'all. He can still make plays. He's dangerous. And if he's under a coach like a Belichick that's going to reel him in and not let him get wild, New England's going to be in the mix. I think Buffalo's another good football team. So the Titans got their work cut out for them, but I think they're going to be right there in the mix at the end.
You didn't even mention Baltimore and, the reigning MVP Lamar Jackson.
Man, you're right. I didn't even go to that conference. Yeah, you're right. Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah.
Roethlisberger's going to be back. I haven't even gotten to that conference. And, and I didn't, other than the Chiefs, I really didn't get to the West Coast. We'll see what the Chargers do with their new quarterback. Now the Rivers is on this side of the equation. But, I forgot about Baltimore.
We a few weeks ago we talked about who's going to have the best year as far as quarterbacks in their first year in a new team, and I picked Phillip Rivers there in Indianapolis, which is a division rival.
Yeah,
Indy's got something this year. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but they got something. So I agree with you. I think the Titans they got a lot of work to get back to that conference title game.
Yeah, I like that. Phillip Rivers is just a consummate pro. He's a good leader. I played with him I got released that year after the first week, but man, when I came back and I talked about having it, he just has it. He's always had, man. He came in command leadership right from the jump. And that's when Drew Brees was still on the team. So, we all know kind of leader Drew Brees is. So I could see why they wouldn't have to Phillip Rivers. But I can see him changing that dynamic down there as well. And then you still got Deshaun Watson, who looked good the other night as well. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a tough conference.
Yeah, I totally agree. Before we get you out of here, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about something that might be sentimental. When I asked you what your favorite moment of your career was, there was one that I thought maybe you could go with, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think—
You said I was wrong. You just pretty much said I was wrong.
You're not wrong. It's your opinion. You're not wrong. But I think you and Andre are the only brothers to ever score a touchdown in the same game in NFL history. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, well, shoot. I guess I need to think about that. Actually, I'm writing a book right now, and I'm trying to piece some things. I didn't realize how much I have been through, and how much I don't know the best way to say it, suppress, I guess, because I have been through a lot in my life, and I just keep going. And I didn't realize it until I started writing a book. And then, but yeah, I guess I need to add that. But what's interesting is me and my brother at the time playing, we tried to dismiss it a little bit, kind of belittle it. We didn't want all the extra attention. That's kind of our personalities. We kind of like being in the background. We just want to play ball, play good ball, do our jobs, and kind of go. And so, it was against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had interception. We're the first brothers to have an interception and a reception in the same game for the same team. The only brothers to have an interception for a touchdown and a reception for a touchdown and for the same team in the same game. All that was against Tampa Bay Buccaneers my last year here with the Titans. So, yeah, and it's funny is that's a little known history fact in the NFL, and I don't know if it ever be broken, but me and him never talked about it. We've never even discussed it. I may text him later and just say, hey, man, we've never even talked about this because you look at the Barber brothers, they did a whole bunch of stuff. You see, what's the McCourty brothers? They've done stuff. Now they're playing together. But me and my brother, man, and as rare as that is, we just never talked about it. We talked football, especially with our kids, but we've never really talked about ourselves and what it meant and how it was. And, that's kind of how we did it. I don't know why it was like that. Which, now we appreciate it a little bit different, but back then we just didn't talk much about it. So, but yeah, thinking about it, man, that is a pretty special moment. That was.
Yeah. Well, man,
with the Green Bay Packers thing, though.
Yeah, look, one of them gave me goosebumps, one of them didn't. But I just thought I'd throw that one in there. Well, Bud, we really appreciate you jumping on with us. Thank you for all the insight. Hopefully I can see you soon, actually in person.
Yeah, man.
I drive by your school every day picking Wrigley up. So.
Oh, that's right. It's told me, and it's funny. Kyle was talking about how big my middle school team looked, and you know what? I got a call from a couple of principals like, You got some kids being held back over there.
I told you, I'm not lying.
Golly. Well, I looked at Page. There's another middle school we played, and them jokers look like grown men, and they look like monsters. And so, but I guess we are a little bigger, and I'm giving myself credit for. I mean, I'm, used to seeing high school kids, I guess. But fellas, I appreciate y'all having me anytime, man. Anytime we can chop it up, talk sports, politics. Kyle knows me, man. I talk it all. He's come to my office. We talk politics, conspiracy, history, religion. I do it all. I wouldn't call myself an avid reader, but I do like to read, and I like to stay abreast of things, man. And if I have questions, I usually go to people that like to have those kind of conversations. So, man, y'all just let me know.
So.
You're muted, Michael.
Can you guys hear me now?
Huh?
Nope.
What?
Yeah, y'all can hear me. Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, so that was it, Matt. All right, Matt's removed from the stream. That's what happens when you can play producer and host. So Kyle, what did you think about the interview? That was great having Dyson on.
Yeah, man, I loved it. I loved giving him a hard time. The little bit that I did, I thought it was cool to just see his reaction. I brought up playing with his brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. That was a great question.
Yeah,
that
who
you guys
came up with
threw
that
out for that as well. So
Good question there, Matt.
I think I did. Yeah. So let's get into some quick hitters. Matt, you hadn't seen our fancy new graphics since you weren't on with us last week for that. Guys, let's get into really quickly. We got the Stanley Cup Finals. They've already started. Dallas is up 1-0. But any quick thoughts? Who's going to walk away with the cup, Kyle?
Tampa Bay is going to come back.
I didn't know your name.
Stars.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay is going to end up winning that one as well. So next Monday night, not this coming Monday that this show's for, but the next Monday night, we've got the Chiefs and the Ravens going ahead on Monday Night Football. Matt, I'll actually give you the first opportunity.
Okay.
If you'd like to answer this question now, you can.
The Chiefs are going to win by a mile.
Kyle.
Give me Baltimore. They're playing ball better right now.
I can't go against Mahomes and company. They're the best team in football, and they're going to continue to be, and I think they'll win that game. Guys, so the NCAA basketball committee finally came out and said they're going to start playing games November 25th. There's been some talk of little separate bubbles going along. Like I know, for instance, Kentucky is playing. Usually they play in the Champions Classic, which includes Duke, Kansas, and Michigan State. They normally just play one game, and now it looks like they're going to move all those teams to Orlando at the beginning of the season and play kind of a round robin. But there was also the ACC kind of pitched up this idea of every single Division I team making the NCAA tournament. I don't think there's any way that could happen, but that would be awesome to see. Kyle, any thoughts on college basketball?
I'm glad it's coming back. I think the bubbles are the best way to do these other season tournaments. And as far as every team making it, it's a logistical nightmare. And no.
I think it's awesome that they're going to be back. I don't think they should have everybody make the tournament because what's the point of, getting rewarded for mediocrity? I don't believe in that. Even though, with my Razorbacks last year, they would have made it had they actually played the SEC tournament. But, yeah, I'm excited they're going to have college basketball again.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I think there's no way they're going to be able to do that. I do think that they're going to have to get very creative because there's going to be situations where some teams play maybe as little as 10 to 15 games, and you got other teams that are able to play a lot more than that. So they're going to have to get very creative in the way that they, whether that's a automatic bid from a conference tournament champion and then a couple more or whatever have you. Guys, there's already talk that the Clippers might be blowing things up after their collapse against Denver really quickly.
I think they should. They need to let go of the Morris guy. He's a bum. They need to let him go, and they need to let Pat Beverly go too, so he can go around his mouth somewhere else. Well, he is my boy. He's an Arkansas graduate. I want him to do that. I want them to do that so he'll come to Dallas.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
Kyle,
I don't
any
think
quick
they blow
thoughts
it
on
up.
clips?
This year is a little crazy with. I mean, a little. It's a lot crazy with COVID. Just go out, maybe look for another shooter or two. Let Kawhi kind of drive and dish and a little more, and I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I think they've got to give it one more season, hopefully a normal season to get things up your wraps. All right, guys, last one here. Tua is off injured reserve for the Dolphins. When will it be no longer Fitz magic? It will be Tua time. Is it coming soon? Matt?
I'm going to say that he'll probably start playing once they realize that they're out of the division, because I think they lost today, but they won last week, right?
No, they lost, but they lost division games both weeks.
Okay, well, if they go 0-6, I think he'll get to start then.
I was going to say, I feel like they were out of the division when they announced the schedule. Kyle, what about you? Tua time?
No, I don't think it's Tua time. Look, they've been in both games. I mean, they lost to the Bills by 3. So in the NFL, you're going to play close games as long as you're a decent enough team, and they're a decent enough team to play close games with people. If if breaks going to go a different way, they win games, and maybe you don't get that with Tua. So let Fitz play till they're out of it.
Nobody's looking at that 2018 national championship game and saying, "Man, if we just put Tua in, things are going to turn around for us."
He's not Booby.
Yeah, but I say, and guess what happened to Booby Miles?
That's right.
He hurt his knee.
That's true. All right, guys. Well, we got to get out of here. Thanks so much for listening to Dad's Watching Sports. We'll be with you again next week, and you guys take care. Have a great week. We'll see you later.